Scripsters, a monster that you can avoid. Come down the stairs and eat your brains, and probably you'll not destroy your knee, your teeth, all they can eat. Everyone is Scripsters, a monster that you can avoid. We'll eat all the girls and the boys. We'll eat all the girls and the boys.
Buy Creepsters and help us make it the #1 comic in Australia and the world.
I do not stand by in the presence of evil. I do not stand by in the presence of evil. stand by in the presence of evil.
Oh my goodness. Hello, my friends. It's me, solo, in the chair, no Diana, playing around with my Trolls Exposed book. Rick and Lorenzo, how are you, brothers? Let's see. I am dragging. Let's see. So if anybody wants to join, it's there. I don't know how long I'm going to stream tonight, but I figured I'd get on a little bit, talk about the trolls. Ooh, actually, there's a lot of blue in that. I wonder why. That's kind of screwed up. It's got to be this layer, right? No. Well, something's going on there. I'll have to take care of that later. But how you guys doing? I've been playing with the troll story all day. What is the troll comic about? The troll comic is about a lot of things. It's a bunch of short stories about trolls. Diana's penning a story herself, and there may be a couple of other people coming on board. What's up, Rick?
Hey.
But it started off.
Hope you're not trolling us.
I'm trolling everybody. Everybody trolls everybody. But no, but seriously, like it started off as the one Christmas story thing that I was doing. But like I've got like 6 little short stories already planned out that were pretty easy to come up with. Your story fits right in. Diana's got one going. She's got another artist involved, which you've heard before, of course, our daughter, but she is going to be working on Diana's story on a very strict deadline. Diana, I believe, is penning a 5-page story. But cool. She went through it with me, and it was kind of funny because I kept like helping her along because she doesn't realize how condensed 5 pages really is.
Yeah.
I told her she could go 10 and she might, but even then I was like, really, if you're going to tell this story right, you should do it in a summary and then like just rewrite the whole thing with the guidelines of what you've already done, you know?
Yeah. Heck, I wrote mine. I woke up, I think after your night. I couldn't sleep that time, or I woke up at one point during the night, couldn't sleep. It was killing me. I just got up and I wrote that in like half an hour, that script.
Yeah, I mean, the short stories are so fun and easy because like they're in and out, you know? And like I've been doing a lot of research about because it's not just about the creatures that are trolls, it's also about troll as a verb. So like I'm looking at different things in history that have been done that are really trollish. Like one of my favorite ones so far. Have you ever heard about the time Anonymous sent black faxes to the Scientology locations in an effort to make them financially distressed over how much toner they went through on their fax machine? They were literally sending like just black fax after black fax after black fax. I was like, that's an awesome troll right there. They literally looped a piece of black paper through the sending fax so it never stopped, and just flooded their fax machines until they ran out of toner. And back then it was thermal paper, so it was even more expensive.
Ooh.
I was like, that's wicked mean, man. That's an evil troll.
Yeah. I'll probably, since the script is all right with you, you know, I wanted to make sure that before I start.
Well, Diana wants to get together with you and me Sunday, sometime Sunday.
Okay, because she hasn't gotten back to me. But that was supposed to be for the other one that you
right. But we can talk about both of them. I mean,
yeah,
she's of course my managing editor. I'm totally driving her nuts, Rick. She's never done an anthology book with me before.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, all I was going to say is I was going to start on Monday. Tuesday, February 1st. I'm going to start to do Rumble 5 days a week. I'm going to, at 5 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to go on for half an hour on Rumble. Tuesdays and Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 5 o'clock. I'm there at noon on Rumble anyway, so I'm not going to go on a second time.
Right.
I'm paying to do the live streaming, so I might as well take advantage of it.
Yep. Well, StreamYard, I'm using it only on one channel now, and I'll be dropping this probably by the end of the month. I'm looking for viable alternatives because I don't want to make it difficult to get people into the stream. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet.
Well, what I would suggest is use run through OBS to connect up with YouTube or whatever. There's a program that's free that you can go to multiple sites if you want to online called Restream.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna keep it all on YouTube or Rumble, but not two at once.
Yeah,
because
okay.
We've been doing the multiple for I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's actually splitting the audience and making it harder to build an audience because we always end up neglecting Facebook. Always.
Yeah. But okay, then what I would suggest is just have your Discord. Use Discord. Have a room that only you and your wife can get into on your Hero Shack Discord.
Right.
And then you can anybody that's in your Discord, maybe me that you don't mind coming on, you can give access to that room or whatever.
Yeah, I'll have to get more familiar with it. The only time I ever really use Discord, I think I use it with you. Isn't that how we do your stream?
Yeah,
and I've used it with Church of Failure. I've been on there a couple of times.
Yeah, well, if you want, tomorrow or whenever when we're on, we can go over it. Help you out there.
Well, I think I remember, but it's like moderating it. I don't know if it's any different. You know what I mean?
But it's not much different. And you know what? Most of the time, I don't think with you being such a small channel, you're going to have a big problem with moderating. Nobody's a moderator unless you make them. And then you can even have different levels of moderation. What you can let people do, Yeah. And even say me, you could let me access to that room, but not have me as a moderator too at the same time.
Right. So just to answer Lorenzo, at one time, most of our viewers were on Facebook. I got myself off of Facebook primarily because there was too many people from work on Facebook. And things I was saying was starting to get back to work. And I was like, yeah, I don't need this aggravation. So now I occasionally post, links to our campaigns and to our website, but I don't generally do much in terms of, working the crowd like we used to. Yeah, like it used to be, we did all our God chats there when we started that, and it was huge. I mean, we would get, dozens of people, and that was going great. But the problem was I didn't feel like God was pushing me to continue in that. And I felt like I was inept. Like I can preach and I can teach and I can do the walk and talk, but my heart was not really into that side of it anymore. Like, I had just gotten out of the street ministry where we had tons of failure. Now, true, God knows success and we can't measure it. Only he knows, and you never know what seeds you planted, et cetera, et cetera. But I felt like it was just time to move along. And go back to it when he leads me there again. He's done that before too. I've gone in and out of ministry all my life, but it wasn't there for this time. What's up, Reckless? It was huge. That's what she said. Yeah. So I was watching a stream tonight with Dark Gift, and I forget the gentleman's name, but they were doing an unboxing.
Yeah, I was there, if you remember.
Yeah. And I got distracted because I was drawing and I ended up, they made us wait so long. I left the video on, but I was playing music in the other window and I missed like a whole half of it or something. That was his project, right? He was unboxing the shipment that came in. Okay.
Yeah. I just closed down the Indiegogo. It looked interesting.
Yo.
Yo yo.
Hey, Reckless.
1 second.
You don't sound like you're in a truck anymore. There we go. I gotta figure out why that turned blue on me. Seeing his teeth?
Huh.
That's really weird. I wonder what I turned on. There must be a layer back there that I hit, but I don't know which one it is. I thought it was this one, but it doesn't appear to be. It's so aggravating when something. Oh, I see what it is. Where the heck is that in? So apparently I hit. I don't know what I did. Wow. It's not that either.
Huh. I don't know if y'all can hear me, but I can't hear you. I'm having all these boomer audio problems.
What's that?
We hear you. Here, let's see. I can tell him that we hear him.
Let me make sure my mic is on the right mic. Sometimes it switches over and then, no, it's on the right one this time.
Here, let's see. Nice and easy to say that we hear him.
Sup, Smirk? We got a lot of dead air, but I'm kind of confused
See?
about what the heck.
We hear you.
Yeah, we hear you, man.
Yeah, well, he can't hear us.
Yeah, that's rough, isn't it? It's like, oh shit. Sorry, buddy. How do we get you back? Oh, I despise when artwork goes digitally crazy, and I don't know where it is yet. I got to find the layer, you know. Oh, wait, that's a hint. I don't even know what that layer is. How about that?
Oh, Lorenzo put a link in the thing to it.
Cool. Thank you. Oh. Yeah, this is bizarre. I'm going to have to work on that. Anyways, what else is happening? So the troll book is coming along. I've got like 3 pages of the Christmas story done. I can show you guys one guy here. He's not done, but he's another guy in the book. And I can't give away too much yet because I think he's going to be the host of the book. And what I mean by that is there'll be a character kind of
like a crypt keeper.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if that, like, I have several trolls that I have to create for this book that you see on the cover, but this guy could be my narrator very easily. I kind of like his look. He looks kind of screwy. He's
I
on
don't
the
even
cover,
know.
but the version on the cover isn't as good. It's a earlier version.
I don't even know what mine is going to look like yet. My trolls are going to look like yet.
It's a weird thing because they're so generic, and yet you can do so much with them. You know.
Well, as you can probably guess, my thing there that I drew up on Wednesday, that's going to be my ogre. Actually, there's a few designs that I'm going to do different because I created sort of an ogre type character before that I'm going to use called Rald Ryer. He which was short. He transforms from like some knight called the Emerald Warrior. So I might change the dialogue a little bit for him, make him sound a little rougher because this troll thing was supposed to be a knight before. Goes to say that I'm. He goes to try and say I'm, Emerald Warrior, and he goes, I'm Road Roid, Royer, I'm Road Royer. Like only sort of gets the last little bit of each word.
Oh, heck, I just screwed that up. I'm listening, by the way. I'm just kind of messing around trying to find this little blue crap that I can't seem to locate.
Lorenzo
I know why. I just figured it out. I know what's going on now. All right. I had my background off. And I had my background off because I took the logo for the other drawing of the yellow haired troll. Let's see.
Lorenzo says I'm secretly the biggest troll in CG.
Well, you know what? That's going to be one of the foundations of the book, is that every single one of us at one point or another is probably trolled. The odds are, if you're online, you've done something that somebody would say, you're just trolling now. Like for me, the easiest one to relate to is Go Brandon. That's one of the biggest trolls out there. You know, it's like the easiest, quickest.
It's trolling, but it's not now. It was originally trolling, and you can troll somebody with it, but
well, it's become almost a pop phenom now. You know,
now it's more of a meme. I guess you can troll people with memes, but it's even
it's definitely changed.
That.
It's become more legendary now because, let's face it, when that guy got Brandon, when that guy got Biden to say "Go Brandon," that was epic. That changed. That became like one of the world's greatest stunts ever. Because I was like, no way did he just get the president to say "Go Brandon." Hey, what's up, man? I'm laughing at Go Brandon. I'm sorry.
Lorenzo says, "Let's go, Brandon. Let's go. Let's go, Brandon. Yeah. Let's go."
I mean, think about it. As bad as Trump may have been at any given point on the mic, that trumps all of it. Nobody's ever done something so epically dumb. Like, because I don't think any president's ever had a diss that was codenamed like that. You know, like it wasn't like "fuck Biden." It was "Go Brandon."
Yeah, but at the same time, most presidents would know something like that and be able to retain the information. Hey, Reckless. Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us now? I don't think he can.
I don't know why, but it's super quiet for me.
Are you on an iPhone by chance?
What's that?
Are you on an iPhone by chance?
I'm on an Android.
Yeah, I don't know. I've tried to go on iPhones and had issues, but I don't know about the Android.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just staying super quiet for some reason, but I can hear you guys more or less.
Does it help if I whisper?
No. No.
Hang on, let me see if I can adjust my mic is alright. I could do this, but I'm probably going to start blowing people out. Messing with my mic levels.
It also won't play through my headphones for some reason.
Are those Apple headphones?
Huh?
Nothing. I'm being a wise ass man. How you doing?
Apple headphones. That's what you said, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah. No wonder they're not working. Apple, everything is like so cross-platform with Apple. Everything they do,
not
even the stuff
understand
that's supposed to work.
love of Apple. This is like the least functional thing.
Well, so I'm on an Apple right now, and it's very comfortable for me because it's all about familiarity with the OS and how it works with my iPad. But like I did graphic arts for 15 years on them. So like there is a difference. Well, no, let me say this. There used to be a difference between Mac and PC when it came to like Photoshop and Illustrator and stuff. But now they've wiped it out. It all looks and acts the same. But for a while they actually had a functionality advantage. Now I don't know, unless you're doing super video projects, with tons of RAM anyways, which would work well on any computer. I don't know what advantage the Mac would be.
Are you saying they turned Apple into a working computer?
Well, when I say working, I mean like a creative workstation. Like you can do, the editing software and the system design works really well with video editing, especially if you're using like one of their new M chips. But outside of that, it's like it doesn't really do anything particularly special to help you with the internet or with email or messaging.
Super comfortable when you're doing like not that kind of work stuff.
Yeah. It's just for one thing, it's set up for dummies. Like you only have to learn like half a computer when you're on a Mac, as long as you stay within their perimeters. it gets crazy when you try to add like Linux to it or do some open source work. It's definitely an ecosystem. A lot like the iPad, and Microsoft switching that too. I don't know if anybody's running Microsoft 11, but it looks more like a Mac now than ever. And most of their software they're trying to push through their app store, which they started a while ago, but now it's getting even more intense. And that, my friends, is the Apple Android world. Hey, Rick, I see something.
Yeah, that is the World Warrior Rared.
All right. Hey, well, I'm going to get off because I have to hold this thing against my ear for it to work. Well, I'm not going to get off. I'm going to mute myself and see if I can fix this. Just
All right,
ignore
man.
my existence. All right, guys?
No, we won't ignore you.
So that's what he originally looked like.
Oh, that looks cool.
So that's
He looks like he's going out for dinner. So
that's going to be my ogre in my story.
So I was doing research on trolls. Do you know that they're famous for eating people?
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't remember that little fact.
And there's what he looks like before he gets transformed into.
Very nice. Hey, Mike, how you doing, man?
All right. Did you get my message earlier, Chris?
I got it recently. Diana just told me about it.
Yeah,
I was show prepping myself.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of hoping I could. So my regular co-host, he just gets back today from his vacation. I thought he might have been ready to, go to come in, but apparently he wasn't. So I was like, spent a good part of the afternoon into the evening here trying to see if I can find anybody to co-host. But
that's what she was talking about. All right, I had no idea what she was even saying, to be honest with you, man. I was in here drawing and getting a video ready, even though the video is horrible. But I mean,
I know you usually do Tism Skism, but what I was kind of hoping for is maybe, and I think you guys could have done real well as co-hosts for tonight's historical comic retrospect, because a lot of times one of the things that makes it work is for a lot like for me, for example, being somebody who didn't grow up reading comics. And even though these are even before our time, these are like more like our grandparents' time, probably, in terms of, but just going over, I basically did some, some like little preliminary work with, talking about like the first issue, the one-shot Uncle Joe's Funnies, little number one of Little Giant Detective Funnies. And even though there were 4 issues, there's only 2 physical copies, 1 and 4, that actually are still in existence. For whatever reason, there's no 2 or 3 on Little Giant Funnies from Tonight I was covering Centaur Comics, the comic books that went on sale there. We looked a little bit at what I found out from Uncle Joe's Funnies number 1, 2 is a one-shot. It was more of an activity book than an actual comic book. It was more akin to like highlights it. Just you had like maybe 2 or 3 comic stories, and everything else was more or less an activity page. You had puzzles, mazes, connect the dots, magic tricks, how to do magic tricks, that kind of thing. And then looked over Star Comics number 15 real quick, because there's no copy of the actual comic itself. And I basically read like 4 stories from Amazing Mystery Funnies, including Skyrocket Steel from Bill Everett, Frank Frollo's The Adventures of a Newsreel Cameraman. Let's see. We read Manhunt, which is a Western story at the very end. And then what was the other one?
You doing that Amazing Strange Mysteries or something like that?
Well, I did read 2038. I did read that one as well. Let's see. Oh yeah, and there was, let's see. Oh yeah, Bob Colby, Fisherman's Luck. That was the other one I read. So
sounds fishy.
They didn't have. Go ahead.
Who?
I was just going to ask. They didn't have a lot of westerns that early, huh? Westerns
Actually,
must have been
there were
later.
a few. There were actually a few back then. I know Tom Mix, which was featured in Dell Comics at the time. Um, he had some stuff in there, and there were a few westerns. Actually, though, granted, there weren't, and you're right, there weren't as many as, let's say, detective stories or more of the other pulp stuff. But
Yeah, it's almost like
Well,
well,
the
it is like they came
westerns,
in much later.
the westerns, I think took over in like the 50s, late 40s or 50s, because that was
Yeah, yeah.
there was the era for 10, 15 years where, say, what would have been Marvel, like Timely or Atlas or whatever it was called, they were doing that stuff and not superhero stuff, unlike DC, which carried on with the superhero stuff even through the thing, although they were even doing the westerns and stuff. That's why you have like
well,
Jonah Hex and all
the
that.
Western started becoming more popular in the 50s. The late 40s into the early 50s. But around this time, still in the late 30s, you still had a lot of pulp stuff. The superhero genre was starting to pick up, and you still had a lot of pulp stuff going on. You had the crime noir, you had secret agent kind of stuff. A little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of like space sci-fi stuff. That's what Skyrocket Steel was. That was a sci-fi story by Bill Everett, who would of course go about a year or two later would introduce the world to Amazing Man. I believe so. Um,
Man, I love superheroes. It's great how they like Amazing Man sounds so stupid, but to a fan of Amazing Man, that was a great name. You know what I mean? Just
yeah,
like if you really think about it, we've grown used to Superman, but that kind of sounds silly. Like if you think about it, it's like, what's your name? Well, I'm Superman. Hey. It's like what? Get a real name, Corel or Jor-El.
Cal-El.
Well, hey,
There you go. Thank you.
yeah. Well, it wasn't even him that named himself. It was the
The
whatchamacallit.
press, right?
Yeah,
Was it the Daily Planet? It must
yeah.
have been.
Lois Lane.
Yeah, of course.
Actually, it probably wasn't the Daily Planet because he didn't. They didn't work for the Daily
Daily
Planet.
Planet was on Earth 1. Originally, Superman worked for the Daily Star.
Yeah,
Oh, how about that?
yeah.
Well, okay, this goes into the whole multiverse thing. So the stories that were set in the Golden Age, back there in the 30s to the early 50s, all those stories primarily took place on Earth 2. And then starting in the Silver Age in the mid 50s through the 80s up until Crisis on Infinite Earth, those stories happened on Earth 1.
Yeah, or what would become known as Earth 1 and Earth 2.
Right.
But yeah, and well, Metropolis originally was, from what I hear, fashioned after Toronto because that's where one of the people, being Canadian, came from or knew about.
I almost
So-
made a horrible joke. I'm glad that I didn't.
Actually, no, it was Cleveland. Siegel and Schuster were actually from Cleveland.
No, the one came from Canada. The one came from Canada. He lived in Canada for some time, and then him and his family moved down to Cleveland, Ohio. And that's where he met the other guy, and that's where they invented Superman.
Yeah, but a lot of their stories, not just Superman, but also Slam Bradley. Many of those early stories took place in Cleveland.
Yeah, but Metropolis, from what I've heard, was supposed to be fashioned after Toronto. No.
Can you hear us
hear me
yet?
just fine?
What?
Yeah, I hear you, Reckless.
Yeah, we hear you.
And to
You jerk.
maybe to cement it is in here
No.
in Toronto, there is a newspaper called The Star. So
Well, we all know that Toronto is awful.
But the Star
yeah,
used to
it's a
be
good thing I don't live
wonderful-
there.
The Star used to be a wonderful national magazine that came out every week in America and competed against the Inquirer and People magazine with all the latest news about our aliens that were visiting the planet and celebrity affairs and political conspiracies. It was fantastic. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that
the
one.
commercial Star and Inquirer
No.
were like the tabloids that you'd find at the supermarket.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. But I used to love those suckers, man. Get in line for a grocery store and you pull one of those. You could sit there for 2 hours and have no problem. You just read all the garbage stories.
Well, I don't know.
And they-
At least in some of my, not only did they have those, but they did have a comic here or there as well.
You know, the only ones I remember was Archie. And
Yeah,
okay,
the digest version.
I have to admit, I was never a fan of Archie. Now, in my later
Me neither.
years, I have learned to appreciate Archie, particularly the house style that they used for so many years. But
I
wasn't
got
like
good hooked on that. Archie's how I got hooked on comics.
Oh, see, for me, it was all. It was actually Sunday Funnies, which
Yeah.
was basically a Sunday comic that appeared in a newspaper, and they stacked all the syndicated comics just like a comic book, same size, folded it and stapled it. It wasn't a gloss cover; it was a newsprint cover. But every Sunday we would get it, and there would be like a 40-page comic inside that would have everything. Like they had the Phantom, Superman, and Spider-Man. And then they had a whole crap load of, the silly comics, Kathy, BC,
Garfield.
Worse.
The
Yeah, all those.
The Phantom was originally a King Feature Syndicate.
Yeah.
Along,
they would assemble them all.
of course, with Popeye, Mandrake the Magician.
Yeah, and you know what? You're mentioning names that I think may have been in the book at one time or another. I don't have any of the actual issues, but I have looked them up on Google, and people have collected them. And that literally, like, my first superhero comics came from Stan Lee and John Romita Sr. I think there were reprints of strips that they had done. But that was my first real superhero, other than Batman, of course. Batman, the TV show, was everybody's first intro in my generation because we all got snagged into the TV show. What's up, Chris?
Yeah.
Yo.
I think the other thing that, my mom got me to trying to get me to read. She bought me some Christian Archie comics.
I didn't even know they had those.
Actually, something I read recently, like a few weeks ago, on one of Pop's streams, we got into talking about this. They were apparently the company that they knew it as was Nidor or something like that. And as I looked into it a little bit, Nidor was one of the names that was used by a company called Standard and Better Books at throughout its history. What I had found out, I think Standard was a company that actually did produce more like Christian-based comics.
Yeah. Well, this one for the Archie ones was called Spear. A guy named Al Hartley did most of the art and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm pretty sure he did the art. Either that or he was the writer. I'm not sure. He got some sort of special permission to use them, use the characters, and there's like about 10 comics for it. They all got different titles. It's not like it was an ongoing thing.
Hey, I gotta ask Reckless because we talked a little bit on Twitter. Do you want to talk about your comic a little? I don't think
Can you hear us?
Let's see. Man, that man, he's got long hair.
Well, that was good timing.
He disappeared. But it's kind of funny. Everybody here has long hair. Mine's probably the shortest, which is unusual for me, but it's still growing back from the head shave.
Actually, I think Mike's might be the shortest of all of us.
Yeah,
well,
but
mine's more thick. Mine's more thick than lengthy. Like,
Mine used to be as thick as yours, but it's gotten a bit thinner over the last 5 years. But I still get a lot of length off the back really quick. But on top I can tell it's thinned. Like it used to be. It used to be like yours, man. I had a Brillo pad of toughness up there, and now it's like I get sunburnt if I walk too slow. It's
well, it's kind of funny because as we've talked about before, without mentioning specific names, we know that there are probably a few people who are pretty jealous of my, as RJ put it, quaff.
yeah. I don't know who we're talking about, but like this book here
Well,
is going to be all about trolls.
I kind of joked that a particular individual might be, after his picture came out, as it were.
Yeah, I took great interest in seeing that. That was very interesting. But I have to say, if he's listening, I do feel really concerned for him because the only pictures I had ever seen from him were from about 8 years ago, and he looked rather healthy. And now I'm not so sure about that. So, yo, brother, take care of yourself. That's the model of the story.
Chris, as much as I hate to say it, your concern may be warranted.
Really?
Because, well, I haven't actually heard anything, but I noticed something. He hasn't been on Twitter or any kind of social media since last Sunday.
Oh, no kidding.
Like the last thing he apparently tweeted was that picture of me from RJ's stream.
Wow, that's kind of weird to him. You would have thought
he has not tweeted at all this week, and he hasn't. And aside from one of his cronies stopping in on Monday, nobody from his group is. And granted, I didn't necessarily want to go too deep into that, but I was just making.
Yep. Well, I'll say it publicly, man. My wife and I will be praying about it, and if you pray out there, he could use it. But yeah, so the book is going to be about trolls, the characters, the actions, the historical stuff. Like at this point, I'm just rolling with it. It was weird because I have Cyclopean 4 that I'm actually working on, Cluster Fudge 3 on the back burner. I have a couple of things that Rick and I are talking about doing, and all of a sudden, this troll thing became like a real thing, and I started working on the Christmas story adaptation. And now it's like it's becoming like a whole bunch of different things. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll just keep going. Let's see. They will need to reconnect. So, Reckless Trucker, if you can hear me, it literally says you need to connect your mic and cam before I can add you to the stream. So, your device doesn't know that you have a mic and camera according to StreamYard right now. He's in the back room, but I can't get him in.
Yeah. Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
I was noticing. I guess Lorenzo was teasing you a little bit here. Rick's secretly the biggest troll in CG. Why does Rick's character sound like Scooby Doo? Let's go.
Scrappy Doo. That was Scrappy Doo.
I guess Well, I'm reading off Lorenzo's C6.
Oh, it says Scooby. I thought it said Scrappy for some way.
Yeah.
Reckless. If you're watching, if Reckless is watching, oh, there he is. Oh, that's not him. That's an old comment. I just noticed your PM, but it would not let me let you in, so I don't know what to do with it. But we can talk about your comic just about any time as long as it's not Wednesday nights and Diana's not grumpy. She is a show manager. I'm like, I don't know if I can explain it, but I'm so proud of her. Like she's starting to really step up and do things, and I'm like, yeah, girl, you go. Can you hear us now?
No.
Nope, he can't hear us. He's muted too, but I don't have him muted. He might not know he's muted. He might be talking to us, and like,
well,
I've done that.
He should be able to see the thing in the corner.
Yeah, but remember, it's easy to miss it. Like last week, I talked 7 minutes before I put my mic on. Dumbest thing, but I figure it matches the Tism Skism name, so I can screw up like that and just laugh. Anytime anybody complains, I'll be like, well, what'd you expect? It's called Tism Skism. We're allowed to mess up here. So what else is happening, guys? I got a book on the front burner. Rick is doing stuff.
Yeah,
I have
I've got like about 3 or 4 projects going now. Like I've got coloring 2 comic books. I'm inking Melvin #3. In the works with you. I'm going to be doing a story for the Troll book. Um, and then we've got the possible, crossover project.
Yeah, we're going
You
to
know,
talk about that. We got some ideas. We'll swish up the pot we in, see what we can get out the end. But yeah, it's getting kind of busy. The troll thing totally caught me off guard, but I'm sure you can relate. If
yeah,
you're hit by inspiration, it just kind of catches
yeah,
fire. And like the last few days, I've done basically like I'll do a page of Cyclopean, and then I end up doing like 2 pages of the troll book. And they're
yeah,
not just from that Christmas story. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing historical pages because, like, okay, there are so many things in history that could have been trolls outsmarting people, even though they're known as being dumb. If I was a troll, I'd want people to think I was dumb. So are they dumb? Like there's so many angles you can look at and mess with in trolldom. And the funny thing is, internet trolls are just like mythological trolls. They
yeah,
love to tear people apart. They rarely tell you the truth. They hide their real name. I didn't know this, but according to many myths and legends, trolls would hide their real name because, like demons, if you knew their real name, you'd have more control over them.
yeah.
Um, that's a that's some huge time legendary lore that I never knew anything about.
Hey, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Reckless Tucker there is saying that the issues were at his end, that the audio is not functioning on his end.
Oh man, that does suck. But bro, we're here every week, and your comic's not too close, so we'll promote you, bro. Like that's the thing about us. We're not a promo station, but we are like a creator station, and not all creators create comics. Like Mike is a content creator for talk shows about comics, and we've had
I'm more
RJ
of a
on.
commentator. I'm more of a commentator, and although I'm probably more associated with CG, I know more people, or I hang out more with people who are in CG. I don't necessarily consider myself a part of CG only because I'm not necessarily a creative. I'm more of a commentator, and my commentary also covers niche as a whole, not just comics. Even though comics tends to be the heavy part of my content.
Right. Well, to
Well,
me, from what I know of you, I have always pictured you as like some sort of comic guru. That's just where you got stashed in my
It's
compartmentile.
kind of funny because I didn't grow up reading comics like you guys did. If anything, I started getting more into like reading the history, reading back issues and all that, maybe within the last few years here. I didn't
Yep.
grow up like, for me, my interest in comic came more from my love of cartoons as a kid. Super Friends and all that.
yeah.
So
Oh, and
By
I
the
was
way,
going to
Reckless,
forget
I
that.
didn't realize that it was the trolls stealing the pens and socks. That's a pretty cool idea too. See, all these little things about trolls can be incorporated into little stories about trolls.
Yeah,
The story Diana wants to tell, I was like, girlfriend, you got yourself interview with a vampire there. Like in my head, she's telling me all this stuff she wants to do, and I'm like, like when you meet a first time writer and first time comic book writer, and she's fleshing out a whole universe, and I'm like, you only need 10 pages. And she's telling me the family history and
yeah.
what.
Well, she's getting to know her character so she can write her character better.
Yeah, isn't that great though? I was like,
Yeah,
wow, like it's been so long since I was around someone who was pursuing it like that. Like she's
yeah.
taking care of the edges of the tablecloth. She's making sure everything's folded properly, where I would just throw down my paper plate and fork and get busy.
Yeah, well, you've got the character already. That you don't need to do much else besides that.
Yeah,
Now.
that's true, and I do have the distinct advantage of, just like you can understand, a lot of people can, but when you write and you draw, it comes together in I think in a different way, because I've written scripts that I haven't drawn, and it feels completely different. But if I'm drawing it and I can look at it, and I like to script while I'm drawing, like I'll do the plot, and then while I'm thumbnailing, I end up doing the script right on it. And then I have Diana edit it from there. And oftentimes it helps the page flow because she looks and goes, I don't know where to go next. So I go, okay, I got to adjust those panels, move these balloons,
Yeah. I usually
stuff.
have the full script written before I do stuff like that. I can share through this. I finally figured out a name. What was I going to say? But the other thing I'm doing too is although I haven't got anybody coming back on me because of doing Melvin thinking on it, I've put myself out there to be an inker. So
you're helping out with Timothy's Melvin book?
Yeah, number 3. I'm inking Melvin 3.
Okay. He showed when I did my impromptu open mic night the other night, he showed me a copy of it. Yeah. Like the news cycle this week was pretty slow.
Well, I hate to say this when he's not here, but I'm getting really excited about Melvin. It's looking fantastic. I don't know enough about the story to talk on that. Reckless Trucker is communicating to you, Rick.
$50 a page.
What if the page is like 4 feet by 6 feet?
Well, regular comic book, page, the 11.
Gotcha. Okay, I was just going to try to get you on a, I am autistic, so I was trying to get you on a literal snag there. Here, Rick, I'm sending you a 4 foot by 6 foot page. Here's your $50.
Actually, here, let's see. I just did this recently because of.
Going back to the Archie comics for a moment. I know that Filmation did a number of their of the comics. They did make the animated adaptation, the cartoon adaptations there in the late 60s and early 70s. You had like the Archie show, and then you had US of Archie and Archie's Funhouse and all that. And then of course Ruby Ghoulies also had kind of a loose connection to them as well, because they featured Sabrina, another character from Archie comics.
All right, hold on. I gotta ask a question since you guys know Archie. Is it Veronica or Betty? Which one is Archie doing? I get totally confused every time.
I believe it's Betty.
No. Well, in the comics he dates both, and he dates some other girls here and there too.
Oh, he's a dog. All right.
Well, you got to remember, he's a teenage boy. He's not going steady with them. He likes both of them. The question
is, player. He's a ginger player, bro. He's got the red hair magic, and they're all loving him.
Yeah. So
actually, I shouldn't say that because you know him as a Christian. He wouldn't be doing that. I'm thinking of him as the grocery store guy.
Well, guess what? I have a lot more regular Archies than I do Christian Archies. I started grabbing a lot of Archie. I probably have, I don't know, 500 Archie comics minimum.
Now, do you ever draw in that style? Because it's distinctive. Like the nose is usually like the boys are thin and the girls are triangle. And
I think I started in that style, but of course I'm more superhero now.
It's weird because I'm noticing styles more these days than I ever have before. And I think maybe it's because I don't think I'll ever be able to hit that photorealistic look that I want to. So I'm looking for a style I can combine with and enjoy,
Oh yeah, Yellow Flash had a very interesting video earlier today. You guys remember when they were making Jonathan Kent attracted to guys, right?
They made him what?
Yeah.
You mean when he started swimming both sides of the alley?
Yeah. Well, so as the headline on Flash's video was Superman exploring men flops as sales numbers just tanked after. It's like At one point, Superman Son of Kal-El was up at number 6 on the top
Right.
50 comic books. Not even on the top 50 anymore. It's like it just. In fact, among the top 50, one of the other videos I saw Phil Flash did earlier today was that
It was a gimmick that sold one comic.
with the exception of 2 titles, all the DC titles that were in the top 50 were Batman titles, with the exception of 2.
Yeah,
Batman is their only salvageable character right now.
The real problem, LGBTQKYZ or however letters are at, they're hitting a major wall because of the trans thing, and it's because the trans people are. I don't mean all of them. I don't mean to stereotype, but when you see activists who are trans, they typically are very aggressive. They don't really care about how other people feel about, how it affects women when they go into female spaces. They don't care how women feel about it. In England, it's erupting to the point where they're just about having a revolt over it. Meaning the people who are not transgender are starting to really turn on them. And it's getting ugly. I don't want it to get ugly, but there is a backlash coming, and it's unfortunate because it never had to get this bad. If people would have just been reasonable the whole time, there could have been, compromise and peaceful resolutions, I think. But instead, it's become so, you will accept me as, and then the other people going, no, I will not. And it becomes a fight. And it's like, then,
Well, it's also partly, I think, for the trans thing is, trying to get, guys that are women, in women's sports and, girls sports,
that's what I mean by women's
in.
spaces. Yeah. Like, okay, so they have that the swimmer controversy going on. I think it's in West Virginia, and it's like there's a dude who's trans, but he's swimming in, or she is swimming in the women's team, and when she applies herself, she destroys them. But
and it's the same for wrestling, women's wrestling, weightlifting, all that.
Well, get this. They just
issues with the trans. It's usually the men who are identifying with women. There's a couple of key issues there in that. There's the one you guys are talking about with like the swimmer and the athletics aspect of it, where even though the guys are like identifying as women and even going through the
testosterone and operations and
the men who are transforming into women basically. So the problem is that even with them, starting to take estrogen and go through the sex operation and all that, they still maintain a lot of the mass they had as a guy.
Right. And they still have the same bone structure, and they still have the same, even if their muscles decrease, they still have the same propensity to be more male than, because they are male.
Yeah,
and by the way,
they can change the physical form, but you cannot change the DNA.
Well, I wanted to say Transformers more than meets the eye.
The other issue, particularly with the male to female transgenders, is the whole idea. One of the other things you were talking about, the idea of being in certain personal spaces, the idea of the male to female transgenders who enter, they identify as women, but still are biologically male, and there's concern about them going into women's restrooms, especially if there's a child involved.
Well, and I will say this, because I've talked to my son about it. My son is rather modern, if you will. He's definitely millennial. And he's like, Dad, you're talking about maybe one case in 1,000, one case in 1 billion, whatever the number is, like super, super, super rare. I think we're missing the point. But I think we're missing the point because
the potential for, the potential for a male to female transgendered individual to still have those
Well, it has happened. They've had trans women who still had the bottom half do things with the bottom half that was illegal and rape. But to be fair, that's ultra rare. But it becomes a question of, to me, more than the rape, the comfortability of females is not
Yeah.
there. They don't want a man in
Yeah.
there, no matter how feminine he believes he is. That's the other thing. Women don't
Yeah.
Well,
necessarily
Chris,
accept it
you
all.
have a daughter,
It's
right? Chris, you have a daughter, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about the idea of somebody going into a public restroom where your daughter's at, and even though they identify as a woman, they're still basically a man? Are you?
Well, yeah, no, don't misunderstand me.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
pro
But
bathroom. What I'm saying
the
though is I'm actually
oh,
against
excuse
it.
me.
What I am saying though is I'm not so much worried about the rape as I am worried about women who just don't want men in the bathroom with them. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
they can
but
identify as women as they want, but they still feel uncomfortable.
my question is, when suddenly is it going to become, some guy that's straight will just say that he's, oh, I feel like a woman today, just so he
And
can go in,
that's another issue too. That's another issue.
Yeah,
just so
gender
he can go
fluidity
in
drives
there,
me nuts. I
and not so much so he can rape them, but just so he can look at them.
possibly. And here's the thing, okay? They're allowing gender fluidity as if gender doesn't have anything to do with identity. For me, if there's a robbery, the first thing I want to know is sex, race, height, weight. Those are the first major things you go for. You don't go,
Distinguishing features.
yes, and
Right.
one of them happens to be your gender, your sex, what you appear to be.
In other words, whether your top half is bigger or your bottom half is bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, in the end, I heard something in a debate that was on Dr. Phil, that video that was going around, Max, what's his name? And he pointed
Okay.
out that in 100 years, they can pull your body from the grave. And no matter what you identified as, no matter what surgery you've had, they'll know if you were a man or a woman. That
Yeah.
it'll be in the DNA of your rotted flesh. That can't
And
change. That should be the marker.
to answer sketchbook with this, these are not 2-page spreads. These are comparisons of the original pencils to my inks to show people. When trying to get inking jobs. Sketch.
Well, my sketchbook was also asking if you were a woman, Rick.
Oh, that's just because of what I said, about going into a woman's washroom. I could say I'm a woman, and that gives me a free pass to go in there. And maybe I'm not going into.
That's another thing. Particularly, a lot of fathers out there are really scared of that. Some guy is just going to say,
Yeah.
"Well, I feel like a woman today, so I'm going to go into the woman's restroom and basically anything and everything could happen." It's like everything from wanting to just look at a woman doing something privately to, of course, full on
exposing yourself,
and that's really where the woman's comfortability. Like, it's one thing for me and you and Rick to sit here and talk about how pissed off we are, but when you talk to a woman and she thinks about what you're talking about, it gets really bad. Like, they don't like it. They don't want the transsexuals in there with them. They don't feel comfortable themselves.
Yeah, my
sketchbook.
My sketchbook is asking where.
Oh, are you reading the same thing?
Yeah, I was reading the same. He's asking where Timothy is. Timothy, I guess, said he had, because I asked him to try. I tried to ask him to co-host tonight too, and he said he was going to be busy with a project or whatever. So
yeah,
I
he was
seen him
here
in
for
the
a little
chat
bit
earlier, I think.
Yeah, he was here for a little bit. He took off. I don't know. I feel bad because I wanted to hear more about Melvin, but we have the anchor here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's you, Rick.
Yeah,
That's
I don't know a lot about it.
Hey, Rick, what do you think of the pencils? Are they extremely well done?
So I guess Diana's in the other
Uh,
room watching TV as you're on the stream
where?
here.
She's
What's
probably
the
watching
question?
streams trying to catch up.
What was the question?
I said, how do you find the pencils? Are they extremely well done?
Yeah.
I like them, actually. That's why I'm asking. I'm like, okay, so what do we do to promote this book a little bit? Because really, I could go on and on about the troll thing, but I want to save it for the actual book. Like, I'm so
Yeah.
excited about all the little ideas.
Yeah. I'm not sure who the penciler is. I've been told I don't know how many times.
Yeah, I've been told too, but they look phenomenal. Like, I'm looking at them
Yeah.
on StreamYard, so it's limited resolution. But what you posted in Twitter was magnificent. And
Yeah.
I have to tell you, as an artist myself, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but when I see artwork of that caliber, it makes me want to
Yeah.
draw better. I want to try harder. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, that is so cool. Let me try that, you know?
I know
It
Timothy has told
inspires.
me. Here, let me see if I can find out my DMs with Timothy. Who did the pencils? Do. When was his last? He's telling me the other day, 9 hours, 10 hours, others.
He's
Uh,
looking, folks.
See,
He's looking.
Lorenzo kind of disappeared on us too.
Well, Lorenzo does a lot of streams, so I'm not surprised. He's a very good friend. He'll stop in, but like he's of the heart where he's obligated to visit everybody. So I know, like, when Lorenzo comes in and visits, I'm like, okay, he's here for a little bit. And truthfully, his is one of the few streams I almost never miss, but I'm almost never there longer than 10 or 15 minutes. Like, I don't even know how I'm still awake tonight because I woke up last night at like 1 o'clock, and that was after falling asleep at 7. And I literally just started drawing. Like, the ideas are just, I can't stop them right now, which is a wonderful thing, but it's also weird because, like, Cyclopean 4 is almost done. And if I just sat down with it for 3 days straight, I could be done it. But I keep going back to the troll idea. You know, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I have a bridge troll story too, Rick, but it's completely different than yours. So it's going to be just fine.
Well, I know Doc Blaylock is working on the Chrome Troll for Pops.
And I'm excited about that one too. See, this book is literally inspired from that book because it all spawned from the story that didn't fit his book. So I started making my own book. Now, we had an argument, and that's whatever. I'm already beyond it. But as far as trolls go, you know, it's not like either one of us created them. So I'm excited. It's like there's so much mythology behind these creatures, and like they crossbreed with other creatures, including humans. They have, you know, lore about children and mothers who were like, did you know they had a what did they call it? A changeling. There's a legend of where trolls would switch out their babies for human babies because humans did a better job raising them. I'm like, what? I haven't read it yet. It was being shared with me, a summary of it. And I'm like, that's gotta, like, you can take that and modernize it and find a way to use it. And they make fantastic little 5 to 10 page stories. So if you're out there looking for troll stories, go look at the Norse mythology and try to modernize it in your own words, and you'll have yourself a story that blows your mind. And then it fits the whole troll thing. The only thing that's blowing my mind really is they eat humans. I forgot that, and that's like such a powerful horror like element. Mike, are you muted?
No, I'm just kind of
I saw
looking
your
on.
mouth move. I saw your mouth move and nothing came out. I was like, uh-oh.
Well, I was speaking to myself because I just saw something on Facebook. Pops Van Zant put up I guess a post R.I.P. Meatloaf. So I was getting ready to look into that a little bit because I did hear there was something about Meatloaf recently, but I don't know if that means
Yeah, he passed of COVID, I guess, yesterday or the day before.
Oh, okay.
And it's really weird because he's one of those artists. Like, I was listening to a sports show this morning. That's my normal thing. I put on sports radio while I'm drawing.
I
And they were
can't
like,
find where he told me. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. They were like, they all hated Meatloaf. Like they were just talking crap about him. Like, oh, his music's garbage, commercialized junk from the 70s. But I remember liking it. And I still do when I hear not all Meatloaf, but like there's certain songs where I'm like, oh yeah, I can listen to this one. This one's cool, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
he was 74 years old
yeah, yeah.
when he passed away. So, and I remember, being like junior, senior high school where he had, it's funny. He released, I think, a Bat Out of Hell sometime in the 70s, and he released Bat Out of Hell 2 in like in the early 90s, and and I would do anything
Yep.
for love, but I won't do that. No, I won't. But the funny thing is that he never I don't think in the song he ever explained what exactly what he wouldn't do for love.
I think that was the hook of the song though, because you never really heard it. Everybody who listened to it in theory would think of whatever they would not do, you know, like so like maybe it was you wouldn't steal for love, or you wouldn't have you wouldn't do orgy sex for love, or you wouldn't beat up somebody for love. Whatever it might be, the listener might fill that in with their own imagination, which is actually a kind of cool trick of writing too. I like writing stuff where you don't actually define some of this stuff just so the reader kind of tries to piece it together. Because then when they tell you what they thought it was about, oh, snap.
Yeah, Bat Out of Hell 2, Back into Hell came out in 93. And then the original one came out in 77. So, this last line of the death portion of his Wikipedia page goes, several musicians, including Bonnie Tyler, Cher, and Brian May, posted tributes. Former U.S. President Donald Trump paid tribute to Meatloaf, calling him a great guy. I wonder how that. Kind of wonder how that's going to go, because I know Cher is considered a pretty hardcore liberal, and she was not a big fan of Trump, and yet I wondered how she's going to turn on Meatloaf because Donald Trump called him a great guy.
Right. I'm gonna try to contact him.
Well, I sent him a message asking him about who the penciler was just a couple minutes ago when I couldn't
He's gonna
find
get
it.
flooded by us. Everybody's gonna be asking, "Hey Tim, what's your penciler's name?" He's gonna think we're gonna steal his penciler. Because people get defensive about that. I've read a lot of tweets where, writers can sometimes be vicious about that stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to hire
Tim's
anybody.
not that vicious.
Good.
So I guess apparently, because I'm reading some of the politics aspect here too. He performed at the 1997 pre-inauguration for re-elected Democrat President Bill Clinton. He was at the 2001 inauguration of George Bush. In 2017, he gave an interview to Billboard where he said positive things about Donald, Ivanka, and Donald Jr. Trump. And then he also called, I guess in 2021, he called Greta Thunberg brainwashed due to her views on climate change. So at least towards the end of his life, it would seem that he might have, and he was critical of restrictions brought about in reaction to COVID-19. So apparently, I guess he was more of a conservative towards the end of his life.
Yeah. Yeah, he and they have used that against him, talking, they being random hateful tweeters, but I've seen a lot of crap written today where it's just, well, that's what he gets for not getting the vaccine.
You notice over the past month, over the past couple of months here, we've had a lot of celebrities die, and with maybe the exception of Betty White, even though they kind of sidestepped that a little bit, they basically said they basically had something negative to say just about every single celebrity who has died. The only one they hadn't was Betty White, but because they didn't have anything on Betty White, So
Yeah,
what
she's
they
pretty
decided to do in
untouchable.
that case, instead of talking about Betty White, they basically were saying, "Well, Queen Elizabeth should have died instead of Betty White."
It's ridiculous that they would even say something like that, you know?
Yeah,
But
that somebody else should have died instead of
they
somebody
called
else.
John Madden a digital plantation owner. Okay. I don't know anything about Sidney Poitier, but
On a slightly different note, Tim did get back. Tim did get back to me. The penciler is Sid Tales. Tales. Here, I'll put it in the. Put it
Isn't
in
he like?
the.
I want to say
What's
he's
the one?
from. Oh yeah, I got it too. Tellez or Tellez? Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just put it in the YouTube chat. The name.
Just let him know we're gushing over him. Yeah, and I'll highlight it so everybody can read it for themselves. It's definitely got a Spanish pronunciation, so it's probably something like Teles,
Yeah.
but I don't know how to say it. You know, it
keep
could
that
be
up, Chris. Keep that up for a moment. I'm going to switch over to the YouTube to see if I can. If I could see it large enough, I might be able to figure it out. Hey, Mighty Geek Studios is here.
Hey, Mighty.
Yeah, Terry, what's up, brother?
And I guess
Yeah,
the
she
YouTube
was
screen
untouchable.
isn't
You're
caught
right.
up on my end as quickly as because I don't see it up there. But
Let's see whether
Well,
I can
it's
find
spelled
mine.
Teles, and Sid
okay,
is
that
just
would probably
SID.
be Tellus. Like Tellus.
Yeah, yeah. But either way, the guy's a great penciler. That's something I really dig about Melvin because there's no fooling around. The art's really solid. He must be paying a fortune.
Yeah.
So
And if
Mighty
he's
Geek
not, he
Studios
should
are
just say
saying
he is.
Betty White was literally untouchable by left because she had their number. Well, again, she they didn't really have anything on her because basically, they couldn't call her a racist because when she did a variety show back in the 50s, she stood up to studio executives when she wanted to have a black musician on, and she told them, no, he's gonna be on, even though they tried to get her to kick him off
Back
the
down
show.
on that, yeah.
Yeah, but
This Sid is from Brazil.
Gotcha.
yeah,
You know what's crazy about racism is I never understood it. When I grew up, it had already been drummed out of us through TV and movies, and I hate to define it this way because I don't really like what it is, but social programming actually eliminated racism, at least in my circle of life.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, same here.
I can see how racism can happen quickly. Like I'm sensing a lot of racism against whites now, and it's almost subconsciously like people don't even see it happening, but even whites hate on whites now. It's like,
Well, it's
like
the
yes, there's
liberal
bad
ones,
in every
because
race.
basically they're being brainwashed here to say that all white people are like white, this all white privilege garbage and all that.
Well, so I'm not gonna lie. I see a privilege factor, but it's not like it's my fault, and it's not
Yeah.
like and
Yeah, but
down to
not
where
all.
it doesn't help them.
Not all white people are privileged because they're white. It's probably more wealth privilege, not white
Well,
privilege.
okay.
No, when I think of the
something, though,
privilege,
I would, being that I'm on disability and all that, I would have to take issue with that because I'm not really rich. I'm on disability, and there are black people who are richer than me.
right?
Many
No,
of
but
them
Yeah,
work
yeah,
in
yeah. Well,
Congress.
that's what I mean.
but
You
the
know,
privilege,
somebody who's
but the
rich
privilege
can
I'm
get
talking about, guys.
away with.
But the privilege I'm talking about is that simple, like if I go into a 7-Eleven at the same time as a brother who's got his pants a little bit down over his butt, so his underwear is hanging out, and maybe he's wearing a chain and he's got a do rag on or something. and we both go in and we both pick out a soda and we both go up to the counter and we both pay for it and we both walk out, almost invariably the black guy is going to get more eyes on him. He's going to be surveilled on the camera. Somebody's at the door keeping an eye on him. Whereas the white guy could be stuffing the bologna down his pants while the black guy's getting checked out so hard and nobody would notice. And I'm not saying that happens everywhere, but that's the privilege that I think is like that I see, that I can't change. All I can really do is be a better person myself. Like, not look at a black guy just because he's black and think he's in a store, he must be stealing. Like, that's ridiculous. That's how
okay,
some people act.
Unfortunately,
with your example, though, Chris. Here's a little bit problem with your example. Okay, so you described the way that the black guy was dressed. He had his pants down to where part of his butt was showing.
Sure, just think like hip hop and stuff, right?
Right. Okay, and then what would you just be wearing, like normal clothes, normal fitting clothes?
Just
Okay.
think like I don't know, casual office.
Yeah. Okay. So there's more to that than just simply the whole ghetto thing. The fact, I mean, let me ask you this: if you were dressed like the way he was dressed, don't you think you'd probably be getting some looks too?
It depends on where we are, but I can say when I was
I
young,
can
but I
say,
mean, I used to dress like a heavy metal punk. Like, I was a glam metal punk. I had the hair teased, the
Yeah, but
eyeliner,
don't
the
you think
black
that some
leather.
people might think that the idea of having your butt hang half out or whatever might
So,
not
okay, but
cross
all
their
right,
mind?
but even if you took
but
that,
okay,
even if
here's
you
the
take
thing.
that
Here's
same
the
black
thing.
guy, even if we went in dressed exactly the same, though, there would still be on average more eyes on him than there would be on me.
Well,
Not
they might
because
be
he's,
the same, but you might not notice it as easy. You might not
I don't
think
know.
to
I'm
look.
I'm just going off of what I've seen. Like, there may be circumstances where it's not accurate, but
Yeah.
I've seen it enough so that I'm like, I can tell them, black people, I see that. I don't know how to counteract that. There's nothing, we can't legitimately like make it illegal for people to be suspicious. That's human tendency.
Well, and
But what
also
we can do,
You,
I
go
was
you,
going
on.
to say
you
it's
see,
sort of
you
a
see
right of a
what our
business too,
what our
to look.
no.
I know that I've walked into a business, maybe not quite the way that you described for the black guy, but I've realized eyes were on me because I was dressing a certain way, we'll say, that they
You were
thought,
wearing a low cut shirt. Rick, was your shirt too low cut?
no, but I've went into stores and I've seen them, keeping an eye on me. They didn't. I don't know whether they knew that I was keeping an eye on, but
Well,
I'm
I
not
can tell you,
stealing. So guess what? I don't care whether they want to look at me.
but I
I'm
can
not
tell
going to be
you one of your,
stealing.
so this is kind of an admission in Walden Books. I do apologize. But one summer in a town in Massachusetts, when I was a wee young boy of 14 years old, a friend of mine and I went and stole comics every single week for a whole year over at a bookstore called Walden Books in the mall. Yeah. And we kind of used the fact that we were cute little white boys to get away with it. And it worked for such a long time until somebody finally just caught us red-handed. She came around the corner. I'm holding a shopping bag open, and my buddy's dumping books into it. We ran. We didn't go back there for like 3 years. That ended our shoplifting spree. But for about a year, I was sitting in almost every comic book that they were publishing. I was like, oh, yeah, we got to get that one and that one and that one. And it was so easy because nobody was paying attention to us,
See, our discussion here is reminding me of a scene I remember from a Sidney Poitier movie. Okay, so you guys heard about one of Sidney Poitier's films was To Serve It With Love back in the 60s, and then To Serve It With Love 2 was made in the 90s, like 30 years later or something like that.
Damn, they're slow.
Now in the original, now in the sequel, it was a TV movie. It wasn't like a full on theatrical release, but it was a TV movie. And so after having taught years in a British school, he comes to America to teach in I think in Chicago or something like that, in an inner city type school. And one of the things he tries to teach them is, of course, like he did with the previous students, the idea of manners, right? Addressing each of them as Mr. or Miss, all that. And I
Right.
remember there's one scene from To Serve with Love 2 where he takes the kids out for a walk in the community, right? Now these are actual regular kids. These aren't like kids with special needs or anything. They're just regular kids. And he suggests to one student, okay, what? Show me how you go and ask for directions. So this one boy or one kid, they're teenagers, they're high schoolers, teenagers. The first student that goes out, the boy, he sits there and goes, yo, and then the lady, he's going up, trying to go up to an old lady, I guess, to ask her for directions or something like that. He's all going up on her like, yo, all this stuff, and she's pulling out her mace, like, get away from me. And then what he did with the next one, which is a female student, he kind of talked to her like in her ear, goes, okay, now we don't know what he actually said because we didn't hear it, but what he had, I guess, what he instructed her to do is to go up and address her. Excuse me, miss, or I don't know if it may have been somebody else that she went up to, but basically the idea is go up to somebody and say this or do this, like excuse me.
Give some manners and politeness. Yeah.
Go up respectfully, not just all in their face.
Right. Basically, that's kind of where I'm going. Now, yes, I know that there is, unfortunately, some underlying racism, but I think a lot of it, too, is it's that they continue to play victim. I mean, blacks, they're not as bad off as they were even 50 years ago, okay? There are a lot of black people who are actually even richer than white people who are better off. There's still some who are, living in areas, but there are a lot of whites that are doing that too. It's like, it's, wealth distribution isn't a racial thing. It's a life thing. Some people just have had better luck, managing their means and all that than others. But it has nothing to do with race, okay? But but if you're presenting as we were talking about earlier, and I'm not necessarily in. I know a lot of people say clothes. I mean, heck, if you guys can see my pants, I got a hole in my pants here. Okay, now it's not a big hole. It's not exposing anything like that shouldn't be exposed. But you go in unpresentable, acting unpresentedly, people are gonna gawk at you. They're gonna wonder, what in the world is this? What in the world? It doesn't matter if you're black, white, yellow, red, whatever. But if you go in and you treat people with respect and you talk to them, you talk to them, not at them. Okay. Yeah. Then you'll get the respect back.
And the thing is, if you go somewhere looking out of place, of course you're going to get looked at. That's out of place.
I just see a different thing usually from day to day, and it's not like what I'm saying is that these people that are looking are KKK or
no.
Skinheads. It's just there seems to be at times, and depending, a lot of it depends on where you're at, like regional location.
Media too. I mean,
what's that?
Some of that's in the media too, because I mean,
but I'm talking about things
that have been out over the years too.
But I'm talking about things I've actually seen. Like when I was down south, I saw it a lot more than when I'm like in New England, for instance. Even though people won't admit this, but it exists in New England at times too. It's really all location based, and I
Well, it
don't know why that really is.
could be crime statistics too. You know, unfortunately, the thing is, we have what I think it's, well, you guys, I'm not sure about here in Canada. I've heard the stats for the states. You have like what the blacks are what 13 or 30% of the crime,
The prison population, yeah.
no, the overall population. Yet they're committing, like half the crime in the state. So that just makes really no sense. There's obviously reasons for that, but
Well, like one of the biggest ones, and this is kind of like, as a white person, this is one of the things that bothered me. Not because it's our fault, but because I wish we could do more. A lot of the crime in the black community is against the black community, and it drives me absolutely insane. Like Chicago, like so many shootings are black on black, and it's like,
Well, there's
yeah, and
Chicago's like the
they don't want to address it.
well, it's, a lot
Yeah,
of them
and they don't
do
want to address
but how
this.
do you, but how do you get through to somebody who's like in a gang, or thinks they're in a gang? Just thinks they're gangster.
Yeah,
You watch your cute little 14-year-old go to high school, and all of a sudden they're quitting in the junior year, and they're gang banging, and it's like,
yeah,
that kid's out of control. Then it's like you can't reel that fish back in. You have to hope that
yeah.
God blesses him and brings him home someday.
Yeah. Well, the problem is what I more mean is the politicians and that ignore it, where they jump on the bandwagon of one white guy commits a crime against blacks, yet they ignore the 50 other crimes that the black is black on black.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. There's so much like publicity, and I'm like, okay, I understand the black crime issue, but like, why is it black on black? Like, what is going on in that community? And I've heard theories. Bill Cosby, who's not very popular anymore, used to say, black daddies, get home and father your children, take care of them, be the role model, be the parent. And no matter
I
what
know
Bill
that
was
a
guilty
central
of,
thing
that's
for
good advice.
Boys in the Hood too.
Yeah.
I remember that was
Yeah.
a big theme
Yeah.
in Boys in the Hood too.
But that's damn good advice for anybody who's fathered a son or a daughter. Get home and take care of that kid. Support the mama, make a family. I don't care if that's what you wanted. That's what you did.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately, some of them are trying to do it by getting into drugs and all that. Yet, that's obviously not the way, because you're going to end up in prison then, most likely, or dead.
For a living, drug dealing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that drug dealing is dangerous because there's so much money involved in it that once someone gets into it, it's almost like trying to leave that high-paying job, how difficult it can be. And it's so stupid because they end up in situations that'll put them away for decades, when really they just started, to get a little side money. They'd do a stupid delivery or something.
Yeah.
And it escalates.
Or gangs force them into it.
Well, gangs, yeah. I'm just thinking a different level of street crime, but you're right, gangs too.
Because the gangs get into the drugs to make money. You get into the gang, and they make you, a spotter or something like that, or somebody to bring money from one place or another. Especially if you're a kid, because nobody looks at the kid. All kids are innocent, and they're not going to do anything, to harm anybody or whatever. We think
that can be a dangerous weakness of people.
Well, unfortunately it's stereotypes about everything, and everybody has them. These things, whether they're good or bad. These stereotypes. Sometimes the stereotype can be good, sometimes bad. We stereotype kids. Oh, they're always innocent. And probably a lot of times they are, but sometimes they get mixed up in the wrong crowd.
Well, you want to hear something funny? One that I'm totally aware of. If I'm speaking to a beautiful woman, I tend to think of them as Snow White and innocent. And I have to catch myself all the time, because women are people too. Just because they're good looking doesn't mean they're Snow White. But I literally start thinking of them like they're pretty, so that must mean they're like Snow White. They're just fluffy and nice and very kind, and they
There,
seem good animals.
okay,
And
Chris. There are a lot of women who are relatively attractive on the outside,
oh
but
yeah,
once you start talking to them,
oh
they can
yeah,
be
I know,
total.
I
They can
know.
be total dogs.
I totally understand that, but it's a mental thing with me. It's like Rick was saying, stereotypes. Like I don't look at them like as sexualized or anything. I think literally the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. She was just a little tart that would just fa la 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 sing along, and the birdies would follow, and the rabbits would follow, and the deer's ears would perk up. I always put them on that plateau of like, okay, there's Snow White.
Yeah.
And then I find out
You
something they did or they are, like you find out that they're really not Snow White, and you're like, I'm shocked, but you shouldn't be because it's your own stupid expectations that made her Snow White. Not anything she said or did. It's a stereotype.
it's what you just think automatically every good looking woman is Snow White.
Yeah, I literally I like like unless of course and unless the woman is like obviously like dressed for dressed to bear, if you will, dressed for the kill, if you will. I don't know how to put it without sounding like a perv, but unless she's on the prowl.
Like she's advertising something.
Yes, if she's advertising, then obviously she's not Snow White. Then she's that woman from Frozen.
He's a man eater.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
we go out at night,
She's
have
Ella,
a face right.
right?
yeah.
From
Oh,
That's
here
the
she
one.
comes.
I'm just saying that to see if
Cowboy,
Diana's
she'll
listening,
chew
but she
you
must not
up.
be.
Oh,
Anytime
here
I
she
talk about
comes.
Frozen, she'll come and shut me up.
She's a man eater.
Hall and Oates, brother.
Uh-huh. Or,
They were
or
some
let's
of
see,
the best music.
what's another one that might? Let's see. There's another one too that I could think of. Let's see. You ought to know that girl by now. You ought to know that she'll never settle down, no matter how you let your heart go too fast. You
That
let
one I
your
don't know.
Yeah, that's from the '90s. That's actually from the Spin Doctors. You let your
Huh.
heart go too fast. Yeah, that's from the early '90s, my time, or more my graduating
In
year.
the 90s, I want to say I was probably into Metallica by that point.
Yeah. Well, I do
Yeah.
remember Jim Fullington, who would eventually become Sandman, would always come out to the ring, with his bamboo cane, whoa, all the beer, even before Austin was doing it in the WWE, you'd see Sandman sitting there, with his cane and boom, 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 boom,
Smirk.
Actually, a good point. Sandman was kind of crazy.
Smirk the alien wants to know, do you want to build a snowman?
Let it go. Let it go. No snowmen. No. I live in the winter area. I know like a snowman. And the snow is really perfect for snowmen this week. But it got
Yeah.
so warm so fast that it was so wet and heavy. And then it froze overnight. And we've been anywhere between 20 and -3 degrees for the last 3-4 days. So everything is like a frozen lake. When I drive out of my driveway, I slide into the area that the salt has actually worked. And that's when my car grips. But literally, it's like a full slide. And the front end will whip to the right. And I have absolutely no control till it hits the asphalt. It's funny.
If you don't
Maybe
mind me
you
asking,
should put some salt
you're
down.
in Massachusetts, right?
What's that?
If you don't mind me asking, you and Diana are like in Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, we're in Central Mass, northern Central Mass. So we're probably 3 miles from the New Hampshire border. So we're not super far up there, but we're enough so that, yeah, we know when it's winter. I think it's worse in Canada, but yeah.
No, because you got I might be south of you. I'm not sure. I'd have to look
We're
at
in
a map.
Canada. It's got to be colder in Canada.
you know,
That's what they told
you
me.
know where I live? I'm like south of like 10 different states.
Are you really?
Yeah,
You're like, so you must be. Are you on the Great Lakes?
yeah. I'm
Yeah. Okay.
on Lake Ontario.
Aha.
I'm like literally an hour's drive, an hour and a half's drive away for the Buffalo border.
Oh. Are you a Buffalo Bills fan by chance?
No,
Very cool.
I don't know. I don't know if they. I don't know if you guys even get American football up in Canada.
oh yeah.
They
I
have
mean,
the
I know you guys
CFL.
have your. I know you guys have your own league up there, the Canadian Football League.
Oh yeah, which is way better. Although I don't really watch football.
Now,
Let's
now,
see.
mind,
Better.
now,
I've
mind you,
tried to
this
watch
is what
it.
they actually call American football on the international scene, because internationally, what we here in the States call soccer, they call football, or in Spanish, football.
Right.
Oh yeah, looking at this, you and me are almost even for latitude. We're like maybe like 5 or 6 degrees off.
Are you more north than me?
Just a little bit. Like
Yes. So you got to be colder. See.
not. Hey, most of New Hampshire
Yeah.
is more north than me. Vermont
Wow.
again, about half or a third of New York. Maine is completely more north of me.
Yeah. You
Most
might
of
be like a.
Michigan.
You might be a mile higher than me, maybe, because we're real close in that sense. Because I'm really close to the New Hampshire border.
I don't know
Hey,
That would be
Chris,
whether I
have you,
get
have
funny.
you have you
latitude
ever
one.
taken a trip to Crabapple Cove, Maine?
I don't know specifically, but I've been to Maine plenty. Is it a popular destination for tourists?
You don't. Well, I'll say it again. Crabapple Cove, Maine.
No, I haven't been there
Think
that
about that.
I can tell you by name. No.
Well, I don't know if it's an actual real city or not, but what I can tell you is that it's Benjamin Franklin Hawkeye Pierce's hometown.
Aha.
From MASH. I was trying to see if you'd pick up on that, but you didn't.
No, I didn't. It went right over my head. To be honest, while I'm talking to you guys, I'm drawing sketch cards for the last bit of the fulfillment that I
Yeah.
have to catch up on. So I'm drawing and talking, and it's
But
so I got to tell you, I hate sketch cards.
if you
I
look
want to
at
do.
the map, my screen there, Chris, I can.
Yep.
I did a screenshot where I am, basically, with a bit of
Oh, I see what you're
out of
saying.
it.
We're like so close on the north to south.
The bottom of what that star thing is
Yep.
where Hamilton is.
Oh, so have you seen it?
What? See what?
Hamilton. It's a play.
Oh no, I have not seen that.
I haven't seen it either. I think Diana went. No, she saw it on Disney. I
Actually,
did not see
Rick,
it.
you're saying you're from Hamilton, Ontario, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my other guys is from Ontario as well. I think he's more from Kitchener though.
Oh, that's not too far away. That at Kitchener, you can see. Here, let me put a dot there.
Wasn't Puck from
Kitchener.
Ontario? Alpha Flight. Somebody must know that.
I don't know exactly, but
Well,
I thought it was-
Timothy just stopped in, guys.
Hey, Timothy.
Right there is Kitchener. Here.
So we were trying to figure out, is it Celes, or Teles? Teles?
Right there is
Teles?
Kitchener, and there's Hamilton right there.
Teles.
Hey,
Anyway, his
Tim.
artwork is good. We like his pencils. But yeah, so I'm doing these sketch cards. I think if I do something like this, I said I was going to do 5x7, and I got stuck doing these cards because of the traditional cases. I got talked into it. I guess a lot of people get the 3.5 by 2.5 cases,
Yeah.
but they're so small,
Well,
dude. I feel like I'm offering people a dinner, and then I'm giving them like half a scoop of macaroni and cheese and going, enjoy.
yeah, but see, the thing is, you are giving these away for free, so and they know the size of them.
I know. I feel like I'm ripping them. Okay, hang on. Hang on. Maybe we can solve this for once and for all. We all know you've told us, Timothy, but what is this artist's last name?
I've never. I think it's Tellus.
Okay, tell us. We're going to go with tell us.
That's actually
Okay,
what
yeah, Tim, you need to tell us his name.
Don't try to play games with me, Piper.
We play
No,
games
but
with you, never.
we were talking about how good the artwork was, and
It's the freshest thing out there.
he's really good. The guy
Oh,
is
yeah.
like superb.
Tell us what else he's done.
Anyway,
is he a father?
I have no idea.
Okay.
So you're saying you can't tell us anything about him?
Other than he's a super artist, which is really okay.
Freaking Canucks. Anyway,
So I have one more sketch card to do, guys. I think I'm going to make it.
So what inspired this Trolls Exposed comic book?
Well, when I did the short plot for Pops, and it didn't work out, I decided I was going to do it anyways. And initially, I was going to do it as just like a web comic.
Oh yeah.
But then I started like thinking about all the different troll things that like are out there. Like everything from internet trolls to mythological trolls to verbs. Like people that have trolled other people in the way they've done it. So like all of a sudden, I'm looking at a minimal. I'll have at least 30 pages, no problem.
Well, what's it
But
about?
then,
It's like
It's just all short stories. Of
yeah,
trolls,
yeah.
different trolls.
The only thing that'll be tying them together is a narrator in between the stories, much like the Crypt Keeper from yeah.
Yes, I even wrote up a story for it.
Are you
And
gonna do
even Diana's working on one. I'm like, holy crap! Although she swears that Krista is going to draw it now. If Krista draws it, I've been trying to get her to draw a book for almost 2 years now. I'll be so excited if we can just get her involved because she is so good.
Krista, is
I'll
that
put
your
her in the
daughter?
lead story. What's that?
Krista, is that your daughter?
She is my daughter, technically my stepdaughter, because I want to be clear, she didn't inherit any talent from me. I met her when she was about 11 or 12, and her talent was already off the hook, and I recognized it right away. And she actually went to Montserrat Art College in Eastern Massachusetts, very elite, and got her degree. And like she hasn't done much with it, but once she gets motivated, look out, because this kid, the sky's the limit, and she can do it all. Like she went and learned a lot of technique and has the skill and talent to make it pop.
Okay, let me pitch an idea to you. Like I got, what if there was a story about a troll trolling someone on the internet, but they're actually everything they type, the person they're trolling says the same thing back at them, and this whole time they're trolling themselves.
Oh, now see, that's the kind of freaking twist I like. I like that.
Like somehow they just end up they were actually just trolling themselves the whole time.
Without
I
knowing
actually
it.
like that.
That would be kind of like a troll.
That would be
troll
trippy.
horror story or something like that.
Well, no, it's not a horror story. It's the fact that they, like, so, I don't know, maybe they had like a window open and it was actually.
But
I
it
don't
could
know.
become, you could turn that into a really good psychological thriller.
Yeah.
Like
or more. What
They
are
leave their computer and they think they're being followed, and you could write it in such a way that like no matter what they do, they think that whoever was on that computer is after them, and the whole time it was just that person.
Either that or you have it the person upstairs or something.
But the hard thing I'm dealing with is when I'm dealing with mythological trolls, they eat people. They freaking eat people. They eat people. And like internet trolls don't eat people, but they can really like eat away at the soul of a person, you know, like the torture they can put somebody through, making that person just literally melt
Once again, we're being reminded of a particular individual, of course.
Yeah, but he's just one of them. I mean, like the idea of a troll is so universal and so everywhere. Like every community deals with an internet troll, one or two, you know, and they're why do they always seem to be the nastiest people? And like they'll smile to your face and sound very nice and be like chucking you under a bus all at the same time. It's I don't know. It's like a side effect of the internet almost, but you got to think they must have been around before, but didn't have access to be heard like this before, you know?
Well, that's
The
one
internet.
thing that the debate has been about, where the internet and social media have, let's say, allowed this type of particular behavior to flourish.
Yeah.
Smirk wants you to use your troll powers for good.
Yeah, the anonymity of the internet, usually allows people to do the bad behavior because how many people given to their own devices would just be bad. They're good because they have to be in society, otherwise there's consequences. But if there's
I don't mean to sound all I don't know, holy roller. But like that's what happens when you don't believe in God. And maybe there's other ways to achieve some sort of moral compass. But if I didn't believe in God, I don't know. Like for instance, when the Me Too thing happened a couple of years ago, remember when all these women were talking about all these men and what they did to them and how they did it? And I looked at my wife and I said, holy cow, I had no idea we could get away with crap like that back then. Like, not that I really wanted to, but like how many men were using their positions of power in employment and just in social circles? I'm like,
notice that only affected Hollywood, though. The only time you ever heard about it was when it was
the majority is Hollywood, but you'll find it like in politics and in upper business. There's a lot of it. It's just it's like just a human sickness. It's not anything new, but like now I don't know. It's just the time. We're in a very weird time, and if we get through it, if the Lord lets us go on, hopefully we evolve from being so crazy. Like the internet, I love it, but it's crazy.
We wouldn't evolve better because it's been going on for ages. It's just because certain things have brought it to the surface easier, easier to find,
Hey, Rick, I'm just trying to be positive and an idealistic person, and you're breaking my heart. No, I'm not really trying.
Hey, I just go by what the Bible says, about
you impression there, Chris.
Yeah.
the hearts of men are completely evil. So I forget. Yeah, I think what scripture. Right?
Yeah, it's and that's the hardest part about like looking at the world, because we do have a perspective that's different because we've read the Bible and we have a concept of what's going on. And even I've reconciled that even if this isn't it, even if this isn't the end times that Revelation describes, it's bad enough that it still sucks.
Well, it's obviously we're getting there, because there's two major signs I would say from the Bible. It'll be like the days of Noah, and it'll be like Sodom and Gomorrah. Two major signs.
Isn't there anything in there about like McDonald's and Burger King merging? Something we could be more clear on here?
Well, I mean, if you really want to look into the evil that men can do, a story that probably one of the more impactful stories for me personally is the story of Ammon and Tamar. You guys know what I'm talking about?
I don't know.
Not
Can you run through
offhand.
it a little bit, and I'll tell you if
Okay,
I do.
Ammon and Tamar were two of David's kids, King David.
And the one raped his sister.
Yeah,
And
yes.
the one
Okay.
went and killed him.
basically in the aftermath of David's sin with Bathsheba, at some point Ammon had become very lustful of his half sister Tamar, and so he devised a plan to lure her in, feigning illness. He adorned her in a rainbow cloak, and then once he was in an advantageous position, he took advantage of her, and really, quite, in the Bible they said he ravished her, but we would of course use a different term for it today. And then just to top it all off, to really cap off her humiliation, he basically tossed her around the street, almost disgusted with what he did. It's like, that to me hit home, because it's like, yes, as men we can really be that way, and that's just incredibly cruel.
Yeah,
Well, I wanna believe-
and the other thing about that story too is David later on says, if you liked her so much and you wanted her to be your wife, I would have given her to you as a wife.
Yeah.
But as we saw, he didn't necessarily want her as a wife. He was
so wanting to do the
overcome
bang
with-
bang.
Yeah.
Yep.
And all the happy things.
I want to blame / give my mom credit for this, but I've never been like that. I always have had too much respect for other people, let alone women, but like I could never. So this is going to get a little gross, so kids turn away. I could never get a hard penis while trying to force myself onto another person who's saying no. Like, I'm so sensitive to the word no. If Diana and I are intimate and she says, I know how you're feeling, I hear the word no and it troubles me and I want to stop because I don't like negative.
All the happy things.
And I'm sure Diana would be really happy that you're sharing your sex life with that.
As long as I don't get too deep with it, like I could share that silly story, but yeah, she wouldn't be too pleased with me. But it's true though, like I'm so sensitive to negativity, like in intimate relationship, that like I don't know how men do that. Like I don't know how they can sit there listening to a woman cry or squirm or say no and perform. I'm like I said, I'm going to give my mom credit and just say it has something to do with that. But like that's hard to me. Like I could not do it.
What'd you say? Did you say they are both David's kids?
Yeah, they were half siblings.
Oh, okay.
Same dad, different mom.
Now, mind you, in the
Still
Bible,
kind of messed up.
Days,
it was close to incest and stuff like that. Yeah, and
but it was more considered allowable back then than it
exactly.
was.
I thought that was.
But even that relationship, if he would have been able, David would have given him to Mary as a wife. I think that was against the law of God, if I remember reading my Levitical law. But
there
David
is like
said,
the whole there is like you shall not lay down with your your wife, sister, your daughter's brother. Yeah, they went through the whole thing to pretty much outlaw anything of incest. So technically, according to the law of God, he shouldn't have offered that. But Dave had a heart after God. That's why God loved him so much. He had a heart.
Jabba the Creator said, "What a beautiful story for you."
Hi, Jabba. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up in a private chat to you, Chris, because for certain reasons.
It's all right, man. This Tism Skism, we can get away with that.
All the happy things with Jack Sabak says 100% cross comments. I'm not sure what the 100%. Not sure what the 100% thing is too. Maybe let me know. if you're still listening.
I think that was when he was when you were talking about
Hey, let's talk
being-
about comic books. That's always cool.
I love a comics. So Rick,
So are you gonna troll Pops with this book?
no. So I've already been asked because
I'm joking.
one of the
I'm
guys
joking.
looks a little bit like Pops, I guess. But that character has nothing to do with Pops, and I'm actually going to adjust it, I think. A friend of ours reached out and asked me if it was Pops, and I'm like, no. And so I'm like, well, if they think it is, I better change the character a little bit. But no,
Yeah.
you know what? Pops and I have disagreements, and they'll probably never be solved. But I have no ill will against him, and from what I understand, he's got Crom going pretty well, and that's cool. I'm just doing the story that I started with was the one I submitted to him, and
Yeah.
it's evolved because like that was a rough plot to begin with, but it's
Yeah.
really cool, and I'm like, no, I want to do it, and then of course it just grows, because
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
knew it wasn't supposed to be a troll. I was just joking. To troll.
well, I figure I should say that because like I don't, like it would be so fun to do, but like I think he wouldn't be very receptive
He
to that.
wouldn't
Like
take. Yeah, he wouldn't
some
take
people,
it well.
some people you can troll and they'll go, oh, okay, that was funny. Other people you troll and they're going to melt. So you got to kind of play with it, gently if you're going to do anything. And in a book, it's just hard. When you put it in a book, it's so easy for people to misunderstand.
Yeah. Oh, and are you coming tomorrow afternoon or today afternoon for
I hope so. I think so.
the draw along?
It all depends on Diana. I'm going to have to text you because I don't know what she has planned.
Yeah.
I'm
I
pretty
need
sure
to find
I'm
out
home.
I need to find out what time too for Sunday, just to be sure.
I believe she said after 1, but we'll nail that down tomorrow. But I'm 99.9% sure I can be at the drawstring because I think she's going snowshoeing with one of her friends. In 10-degree weather, they're going out snowshoeing in the national park. I'm like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah, Chris, I sent you a private chat. Don't know if you saw it.
Is it safe for work?
It probably is, but I meant for you to see it because it was in regards to what we were talking.
Oh no, I could never show this picture at Mike work. You shouldn't be. Yeah, I can never show these pictures. I can never look at these at work, Mike. I'm joking. They're not pictures.
Yeah.
It's just a message.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you know what? I need like 5 minutes to go like pee and stretch, but I don't know.
Well-
Should I close the chat? It's been on for.
Yeah, we've
been
been going for
past
just.
An hour mark. So, do you feel like when you come back, you want to talk more, or?
No, I think I want to go to sleep because I have to get up, but I don't know. Like, I don't want to be rude to everybody. Tim just got here. Tim, you've been gone, man. We were ready to like celebrate Melvin, and it's like we don't know the penciler's name.
Did you show the pictures?
Yeah,
No, we
I
didn't do
showed-
much of anything. Oh yeah, you
Well,
did.
I did go through it. It was half in me, saying about
That's how,
looking for becoming an anchor, and I was just rung up some comparison pages.
That's how we got into the name of the penciler because he was showing the comparison shots. That's right. And so I wasn't sharing it. He was, but yeah, we saw the pencils next to the inks, and I was like, man, this guy's got an eye. This guy's good. And we couldn't remember his name.
Yeah. Just say it. Just call him Sid.
Yeah, but Sid
Of course,
Tellez.
Chris, there's also the possibility.
Yeah, well, we
that
couldn't-
end up on RJ's stream on Sunday, looking over comic book covers too.
Right. Yeah,
But-
that was. I hope he does that again. That was a blast.
Yeah.
But see, not even any of us could tell us his name was Sid.
Yeah, all we could say, we knew he wasn't from this country. So
Yeah.
I was like, I think he comes from Russia, but he
No,
lives in
he's from-
Korea.
He's from Brazil, dude.
Yeah,
So
we found
he's
that
from
out.
Brazil. He moved to Russia and then Korea.
No, he lives in Brazil. He's from Brazil. What are you smoking, man?
I'm just.
Has he ever had a
playing.
Brazilian?
Okay, you're just being weird.
Brazil is kind of like a cool country though. They have It's almost like a Wild West type atmosphere in some places in Brazil.
I've been to Brazil.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy at times, isn't it?
Well, I went on a missionary trip, a missions trip with my church there, so I didn't get to see real much of the craziness.
It's
Unfortunately,
probably for the better. I don't know. It's like one of those places where, as a tourist, I think you better know somebody local who knows their way around.
So,
but I
Rick,
was in the main city and it was crazy. Oh, anyways, what were you saying, Tim?
I'll tell you after the stream. I just realized we're still live, so it's
so
business.
I'm gonna click the live off, and I'm gonna go stretch.
Well, do you want to go around and see whether anybody wants to promote something or whatever?
Heck no, no. Yeah.
Well, oh.
So I know that Mike has a stream. I know Rick does. I know Tim doesn't. And just for the record, we have another one at Wednesday night, 8:30, the Hero Shack one. So whoever wants to go next.
Well, you can all, as you guys know, you can always catch the nightly newscast Monday through Thursday, and also the historical comic retrospect on Friday. Hopefully, I believe next Friday, Batgoat will be available, so we'll be back to full staff and be playing like the lulls game and all that. So as we're reading comics, looking back on some history there, some of the comics, I hope you all take some time to come by and check it out. And also one more quick thing. Don't forget RJ's open mic night on Sunday. Likely that if it is, we'll probably will be doing those comic book covers again. So, anyway,
Those who don't know, RJ is criticalblast.com.
Yeah.
And starting Tuesday, February the 1st, I'm going to be doing a 5 o'clock show on Rumble on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, as well as my high noon there on Wednesdays. So, and of course, tomorrow over on Rumble, I have the draw along. So anybody wants to come and watch that, a bunch of artists are going to get together, just draw. If you want to draw something along and share it in, I will show it out to people that are watching.
Very cool. Tim, do you want to pitch Melvin one time before I click?
Yes. Sign up for Melvin 2 Nitty Go.
That's the audience cheering. I concur. Concur means I agree, right? I concur.
Yeah.
Sign up for that.
Means agreement. You're correct.
And after that, check out the description. I need to get Melvin's link so I can put it in my descriptions too.
Hold on.
Trolls Exposed is up for sign up. It's going to go live probably the 1st of February, but yeah, we're just accepting early signups, and we've had quite a few so far. Thank you guys. But if
maybe
you haven't,
should talk to RJ and see if he'll bring you on the show so you can promote that there as well.
Oh yeah, as soon as I go live, I'll probably be on his show at least once. He's great. Every book I put out, he's let me do a show with him, so it's fantastic. I think Tim went to get the link.
Yeah, I got it. It's right in the private.
All right, hang on. You don't have. Oh, it's right. Never mind. I was thinking you don't have a wrench.
Yeah, he does.
Well, I'm in the StreamYard, so I'm not in the chat.
In StreamYard, not in the. Yeah, I get you. Boom, boom, and there.
Boom. Ain't it great to be crazy?
Hey, Mike, what's up? I see you in the chat.
Yeah. Well, because I wanted to show you if you were wondering if anybody else in our little group there had a wrench or not.
So Smirk and Terry and Jack, thanks for coming along. Feel free to join us next time because we just hang out and pretty much chat. I mean, you could get in trouble because you never know what we're talking about, but we pretty much just let it roll.
Yeah. Well, the great thing over on Rumble. The great thing over on Rumble, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and you never know. We could get banned from YouTube for sneezing the wrong way, but until we do, I'll be coming here on Friday nights. I made it tonight. Rah. But now we're going away. I'm I'm going to end the live part